Welcome to Around the Sun. I'm your host, Keith Gill, Commissioner of the Sun Belt Conference. We're grateful you've joined us and hope you'll return often as we share stories from around the Sun Belt Conference. In conjunction with the 50th anniversary of Title IX, we're recognizing some of the pioneers and trailblazers of women's athletics from our Sun Belt Conference institution. Today, our special guest is Beth Barry. Beth competed for the University of South Alabama's men's golf team as a scholarship athlete from 1967 to 1970. Meaning her student-athlete days actually preceded Title IX, which passed in 1972. Beth competed in both men's and women's tournaments in college because at that time, the Jaguars did not yet sponsor a women's golf team. She was a three-time NCAA championship qualifier, and Mobile's local media dubbed her Our Beth, as she won 57 of 64 career matches. She won the Alabama State Women's Golf Tournament 4 consecutive years. Beth was a 1989 inductee into the South Alabama Athletics Hall of Fame. And here's an amazing stat. Everyone can be excited about this. Over the course of her career, she says carded more than 40 holes in one. 40! I'm going to ask her if she'll let me borrow one of those since I've not had any. Beth, welcome to the podcast. Thank you so much for joining us today.
Thank you. I appreciate it. You're right. I was right before Title IX, but I know for a fact it would have been nice, like in high school, to have been able to play on some kind of a team. So I was really thankful when South went with the idea and let me join the boys team. It was really probably the best thing for me as far as developing as a golfer.
Well, that's great. So let's talk a little bit about kind of your development. So you grew up playing other sports too, but obviously you have, golf is where you kind of made your mark. And can you talk to us a little bit about how you first started playing golf?
Well, to be honest, I didn't know anyone that played golf, not family member, friends. A priest took me one day when I was a junior in high school to try golf. And he happened to take me to a really good pro, and he stuck with me. And we just started taking lessons. And in less than 2 years, then I was playing on South's men's team. So that worked out pretty good. What really helped on the team back then, golf now is all tournaments. Back then, we played individual matches with other schools. So it was match play for points. So that really helped me in my amateur career, because that's all the ladies played was mostly match play.
Yeah, and you won 57 of 64 match play tournaments. That's pretty impressive.
It was a little better than I thought. I was a little apprehensive going into it, but I had a pro that was really just down to earth and a good teacher, Willie Birch. And the only thing he said to me was, "Don't worry about it. You'll be 2 up before you ever start." And he was right.
And the power of positive thinking, which is awesome. So
that was him.
And so obviously you attended South and you played on the men's team because there wasn't a women's team. Can you talk a little bit about that experience? How hard was it? How welcoming they were? Give us a sense of what it was like for you day to day playing on the men's golf team as a woman back then.
Actually, all the guys I played with from South and the turnover was pretty good. Probably there were only 2 of us that went like straight through and graduated, but all the guys were very nice. It was really kind of interesting that when we would go to a place, the only thing the other team worried about was who was going to play the girl. They wanted to know what number I was playing, so they could. And then the other team just harassed the one calling over, "How do you stand? How do you stand?" So it really was quite fun.
And you won 57 times, which is pretty awesome.
Right, more than I thought.
And so now talk a little bit about the match play. So help us with the kind of psychology of that and kind of how you excelled kind of in that format.
Well, I think with match play, it's just a whole different game. But the thing is, it's just head to head. And it sort of guided me into not paying attention to who I was playing. I just played the golf course and it worked out really good. And I just continued that type of an attitude even when I was in the ladies tournaments, just play the course and not worry about anybody else. And it worked out. I never worried about if someone hit it farther than I did or anything like that, because it just didn't matter. Actually, you're at more of an advantage in match play if you hit a good shot to be the first one to hit, not the second one. But anyway, it was just really a great experience. I just really enjoyed all of the years.
Yeah,
South.
And talk a little bit about South. So you earned 2 degrees from South Alabama. Obviously, you had an incredibly successful golf career while you were there. Just talk about the impact on your life, obviously both as a golfer, but just as a person. What did South Alabama kind of do for you?
Well, to be honest, I never thought about going to college. And I had taken like a business courses the last 2 years in college, in high school, but that helped me probably more in college than anything because I learned shorthand and typing. Back then you took notes and you had to type your papers and everything. But anyway, to be able to get a master's was just something I hadn't really dreamed about. So it was really great.
That's awesome. And so I've got to ask about the 40 holes in one, because I've not ever heard that before. And that's seems like such a remarkable record. So what is your par 3 secret, or how do you get 40 holes in one? Because I'm still searching for my first one.
It's really funny. I don't know. When they first started coming, I didn't think much of it. Again, I didn't know much about golf, but I guess you just have to play a lot and hit it straight. And I think with my ball, it rolled a little more, but it just got lucky. One thing is hole in ones, but it was fun.
That's great. So
good talking point.
A great talking point. So, and so talk a little bit about so we're celebrating the 50th anniversary of Title IX, and obviously, as we said before, you started before Title IX became law, and obviously, and its impacts, at least in the NCAA space, didn't even take place for 10 more years after that in terms of really opening up opportunities. So how have you seen the impact of Title IX on folks who came after you? Obviously, you blazed a trail for them, kind of starting beforehand and showing that there really was, there should be space for women and the equality. So talk a little bit about what you've seen kind of since you played to now.
Well, one thing, after I was teaching and all, I ran a junior program here in Mobile, the Jimmy Green Junior Tour, for about 20 years. And it was a low price tour, and all the courses were really nice about letting the kids play. But over the years, and from then until now, the increase in the number of girls playing has just been astronomical. Beforehand, right at the beginning, we might have 4 or 5 girls, Now it's just the impact. Now all the high schools have teams. It's just a total change when there's something to look forward to in a team, to try to get on. I really just enjoyed being on a team, believe it or not. So I was very thankful to play for South Alabama.
Yeah, and talk a little bit about the enjoyment on a team. Like, what were the values of the team? What did you really appreciate about being a part of that team?
Well, it was just the guys we had a good time. We played a lot of golf together, of course they bet, we bet. I just only thing I worried about early on, I didn't want them not to want to play with me. So I played really fast. I said, I'm not going to make them think I'm slow or anything. So now that was sort of my personality. Now I still do golf just really quick, but I never would bet one of them individually, but I would be on the team bets. I would just be shooting to, get lunch, and it worked out pretty good. They wouldn't let me be captain, by the way. I was never a captain to pick the team, but the best player on the team, Ricky Sharp, he always picked me, so I had lunch pretty secure.
Oh, that's nice.
That's the whole idea. But I never would play any of them individually. I didn't want them to get mad at me.
It's nice that you had a game where you won 57 of 64 matches, and you also could get lunch. Because right now, if I was betting, I would be buying lunch in golf. I'm not very good at it. And let's talk about the evolution of the golf game. So when you watch golf now, kind of what do you think? How does it impact you? And you just seen a lot of transformation in golf, particularly in women's golf.
Oh, well, it's just grown so much. It's unbelievable. I mean, everybody's hitting the ball so far. They're just really talented. And the guys too, they've just gone all to a different level. I love watching golf. I think golf's the greatest game there is. I would never, one thing that's great about me starting to play golf is that my family became a golf family. When I didn't know anybody, now my brothers, nephews, nieces, they played. So it's just a game, you can do your whole life golf courses are beautiful. And right now I work, part-time at Magnolia Grove, which is a beautiful golf course. Just meet a lot of interesting people. Just really, I can't think of a better thing for people to do than play golf.
It's such a great social game too. When you're out there playing and you're with your playing partners, you get a chance to talk. You really get to know people through the game of golf.
Oh yeah, definitely. Like I said, working at Magnolia, especially during the pandemic, we've had so many people come from all over the place, and it's been a highlight. Alabama's really a very pretty state. They really didn't know that till they started going to some of the Robert Trent Jones golf trail, because it has really highlighted all the different sections of Alabama.
Yeah. So now, as you reflect on your impact, because you're a trailblazer, I mean, you kind of started, you played on the men's team, you really set the foundation for the opportunities that a lot of people have an opportunity to get today. So how does that make you feel? What do you think about, as you reflect back on kind of being a trailblazer and setting the table for a lot of women to get opportunities to go to school and play the game they love?
Well, I don't know if I was a trailblazer as much, but I think it really just made them realize that, the girls want to be part of a team too. And I think it is better, to have them separate. Golf is one game where, men and women can play at an equal, level and not be, too distant from each other. But most sports, you can't do that. And I just really, am happy, now that they have all the high school sports for girls too, volleyball, basketball, everything. So I'm just, it just had to go that way. You just couldn't keep it like it was.
Yeah, and it's been such a tremendous evolution, and I particularly think about here in the Sun Belt Conference, going to our Women's Golf Championship and watching, just the opportunities that they have. It really is tremendous that they go out, they play great courses. We host our tournament at Daytona Beach International, and it really is it's a great opportunity, and so I certainly think we're just so proud of you, and certainly the opportunity for us to recognize kind of what you've done to blaze a trail for all those great women's golfers we have today in the Sun Belt, because they really are resting on your shoulders. So thank you so much for that.
Well, thank you. I just am really happy too with the Title IX is, getting the high school girls teams, which proceeds to the colleges. And so now, like in Mobile, a lot of the high schools have girls that play in the state tournament, just loaded. We have some really good junior golfers. But if they didn't have that goal of getting on a college team, maybe most of them might not want to be a pro, but it's nice to go play college golf and get a scholarship. And it's just a good way to get your education for sure. I would recommend it to anybody.
Yeah, I agree wholeheartedly. And I think we got to continue to expand those opportunities to make sure that we're providing them at a level of equality that fits our commitment. So,
oh yeah.
Well, thank you so much, Beth, for sharing your story. We really enjoyed hearing it, and thank you for taking the time. We appreciate obviously all the contributions that you've made to golf and to sports generally.
Hey, thank you. I appreciate it.
Great.
Happy anniversary.
Yeah, thank you so much. And thanks for celebrating the 50th anniversary of Title IX with us. And thanks to all our listeners for joining our podcast. We hope you'll continue to listen to our special Title IX series and tell others to check out our Sun Belt Conference podcast as well. Thank you so much.